much more are you willing to follow them if they were a millionaire? It benefits us. That's the secret. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Destiny, and today we're going to be doing a little something called Thinking Things Through. I host a Bible study every Wednesday at 7 p.m. I'm going to be writing my notes, and we're going to be thinking things through together. I got my notebook here. I usually take notes in my notebook, and then I use these notes for the Bible study. So the Bible study is already created. I created it maybe like a couple of days ago. And was it a couple of days ago or was it yesterday, girl? I created it yesterday. And so today I'm going to be doing the notes for it. And then I'll post this video online after the Bible study, and I'll also post the actual Bible study without the commentary. And since I take that out of the video when I upload it, this video is like a way to kind of get more of that in-depth conversation that happens during the Bible study. So starting in January, we've decided that we're going to read a psalm every week. This week we're on Psalm 2. And so Psalm 2 says, "Why do the nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth rise up, and the rulers band together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, 'Let us break their chains and throw off their shackles.' The one enthroned in heaven laughs, the Lord scoffs at them. He rebukes them in his anger and terrifies them in his wrath, saying, 'I have installed my king on Zion, my holy mountain. I will proclaim the Lord's decree. He said to me, 'You are my son. Today I have become your father. Ask me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. You will break them with a rod of iron. You will dash them to pieces like pottery. Therefore, you kings, be wise, be warned, you rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and celebrate his rule with trembling. Kiss his son, or he will be angry. And your way will lead to your destruction. For his wrath can flare up in any moment. Blessed are all who take refuge in." So when I seen "serve the Lord with fear," it drawn me to the topic of fear. And so we're going to be discussing, what does it mean to fear the Lord? What does God say about fear? And how does fear of the Lord produce self-love? So my Bible study, if I haven't mentioned, sorry about this, it's about self-love. It's divine self-love empowered by his word, inspired by verses in Matthew 22, verses 37 to 40, where God says, the greatest commandment is to love God with all your mind, heart, and soul. And the second is like unto the first, is to love your neighbor as yourself. And what we can get from Jesus saying that the first commandment is to love God with all your heart and your mind and your soul, and then love your neighbor as yourself, we can infer that God is also calling us to love ourselves. And if God is our image and his character and who he is who we are called to be, then loving God helps us to love ourselves and who we are supposed to be, in loving our neighbors, giving them the overflow of the love that God has given us and showing them the love that they should have. So self-love can produce a God love if we're following in the way of God's image. I hope that makes sense to y'all, but we rock it. The first prompt question is going to be a poll. I usually do a poll, and it says, are there people in your life that you respect and look up to? Someone you admire their work, style, character, or contribution to the world? I would say yeah, right? Like, I feel like everybody has at least someone they look up to, and even if it's not someone, you have this like idea of something that you look up to. Maybe it's a combination of people, maybe it's influencers, maybe it's celebrities, you know, certain trends and culture that you put together to cultivate image of what you want to be like. And if you don't have any of those guys, I would like to introduce you to Jesus Christ, and you can open your Bible and learn who God is, and watch your life transform. What fear in the Lord means, it means to have a deep respect for somebody. It means to have awe for somebody. It means to look at them with reverence, look at them with respect. And what we can say about people that we look up to, what we can say about role models, what we can say about people who inspire us, is that we have this inner feeling of wanting to be like that. And if it's something that we see that is modeled and it's done very well, we are more likely to emulate those actions. For example, in the Bible, there's a verse that says, the poor man's wisdom is despised. And so, with that being said, we can infer that people will follow in the ways of people who they look up to. And imagine a poor person giving you advice on finances, right? How much more are you willing to follow them if they were a millionaire? That's something to be considered. So you're only going to have awe and reverence and respect for somebody who you believe is doing the thing, who is awesome, who's done the thing that you want to do. And so God is calling us to look at him as that. He's done the thing that he's calling us to do. He sent Jesus. He's done the thing, right, that he's calling us to do. We have to look at his ways and say wow, and be in awe of the things that he's done. Look at the world that he's created. Look at all that he's done for us and be in awe and desire to live in his will. And once you understand that his will is for you to prosper, it's for you to have a fruitful life, it's for you to have a close relationship with God, to make you feel fulfilled and purposeful, it should be something that you aim for anyway. The more you get to know God, the more you seek his face, the more you understand who he is, and the more you will grow in awe and reverence to him. You'll want to do the things that he said. You will want to respect him. You will watch what you do because you don't want to hurt that person. You know, certain things, when you respect and when you love somebody, you don't want to let them down. And that's what God is calling us to do. He wants us to have reverence for him. He wants us to have awe for him. And the good thing about having reverence and respect for God is that when we do, and we truly love him like Jesus told us to, it benefits us. That's the secret. Imagine if everybody's role model was the Lord, right? And so this is what God is calling us to do, and that's what reverent fear is. Reverent fear is like a deep respect. Now we're going to talk about the feeling of fear, like emotional fear. Emotional fear is something totally different. Emotional fear is a natural feeling in response to a perceived threat or danger. It's something that our bodies respond to when we feel something is off. Fear is something that we feel when we don't trust God, because if God says, I have not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind, then what do I fear? If the Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? Right? If God is with me, whom shall I fear? If the Lord is my refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble, then whom shall I fear? Why am I fearing? You know what I'm saying? And so when we are in fear, it is not of God. God says, I did not give you that spirit. That is something totally untrue. And when we think of what fear actually is, it's just us either being insecure or not knowing what is to come, or we're worried about what is to come. And that's why God says, don't worry about anything, pray about everything. Okay, and so this type of fear involves anxiety, distress, or dread in the face of harm or potential harm. It's often an instinctive reaction, emotion, triggered by situations where a person feels unsafe, vulnerable, or threatened. And so obviously with God, we should never feel unsafe, we should never feel vulnerable, and we should never feel threatened. Why? Because God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble, because God goes before us. God makes our path straight, because he said, if you don't worry about anything, pray about everything. He says, whatever you ask my Father in heaven, I will give to you. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. You know, he says, I can do all things. You know, he's my strength. He says, when I am weak, my weakness is made perfect in his strength, right? So all of that is what we need to know, and because we need to definitely understand the difference between reverent fear and emotional fear. Emotional fear actually is what can help lead you to reverent fear, because when you're in emotional fear and then you call on the Lord and he comes and he saves you, and he does his big one as he always do. He always shows up and shows out when he's supposed to, right on time, and for whatever cause we need him, will cause your reverent fear to pop out, as you'll say, you're awe at God and his miraculous works. God, you've done a thing for me. You came when I called. You answered my prayers. You understand? Now that is how you can turn that emotional fear into reverent fear of the Lord, remembering God all times. So when you feel fearful, you go and do what his word says to pray. Call on the Father and ask him for help. Now, fear of the Lord produces self-love. Fear of the Lord produces self-love by helping you discover the qualities and characteristics of God, uncovering the truth of his holiness and love for you, bringing revelation to the magnificent work he has done and how magnificent he is. The more the glory of God is revealed to you, the more you can grow to love him, and hence grow to love the image you were created in, producing substantial self-love from the source. In Genesis, it says that man was created in God's image, right? Whenever I used to think of image, I used to just be like, what is this image that everyone's always talking about? Or when people used to be like, seek God's face, and I used to be like, how do we seek God's face? What are y'all talking about? It is about characteristics of God. It's about his principles. It's about who he is. When we look at the image of God and we see all the glorious things that God is, he is mighty, he is provided. We have all this long list of things that God is. That's what he wants us to mirror. And so he says this is our true identity. The qualities that he exemplifies, the qualities that he possesses are the qualities that he wants to bestow on us. But because of man's fall, making their own decisions and stepping out of God's will, we have been drawn back to God and back to his in our welcome back into his presence to be able to reflect that image through Jesus Christ, who has came, gave his life for all of our mistakes, dying innocently for you and me so that we can be redeemed. And so we take on the characteristics of God. We take on the characteristics of Jesus Christ. And the more we learn to love God and who he is, the more we learn to love ourselves, because that is our true image. That's who we should emulate. It should be a progressing, growing nature of us trying to be more like our creator, trying to do things like him, trying to walk like him, trying to talk like him, trying to most importantly love like him, and have that love so ever deep within us so that we overflow it to everyone around us and make a difference, and God will make us prosper for his glory so that all can see all the greatness you've done. I talk a lot about God wanting us to succeed in the Bible study because he really does, because once we succeed, we get to glorify his name, and then it can draw more people into learning the true nature behind God and who he truly is. And so for the open discussion, the topic is, what are some things that you previously believed about God that was untrue about who he really is? I would love for y'all to write down in the comment section. Okay, and so for me, I'll tell you one of them. What I had believed before was that God was so far away, right? God was like something that we had to reach for, that we had to get to, and he had to look down on us, and he's so far away from us, and we had to call to God, and going to different churches and things like that. A lot of the worship will be like, we're waiting for God and he's coming, and like we have to reach him, and he holds out his hand. And it's like you gotta stretch to God. Like it felt like God was so far away. But I learned that God is this close to me, even this close to me. Through my journey with God, through my journey with reading the Bible and self-love and everything that I've been through in my past, I've learned that God is right here. All that reaching and screaming and shout out to the Lord, like we gotta shout to the like it just felt as if, and even if people didn't say that he was far away, it just gave me the perception of as if he was far away, because it's like you gotta shout to the Lord, you gotta reach to the Lord, right? That's how people would praise, and how some of the church would do some praises, not all the time, not everyone, but that's how like certain experiences made me feel that God was far away, and we had to do something to get his attention. He got our full attention, right? He fully keeps his eyes on us, and he's fully close to us, ever present, ever close God. He's right here. He's right here. I don't have to scream. I don't have to shout. I could whisper to the Lord. I could think about the Lord. It doesn't even have to come out of my mouth. I could feel about the Lord. The Lord is that close to me, right? That's one thing that I learned about God, that before I believed an untrue thing about him, that he was so far away. God is not far away. He is close. He's very close. He's more than close. He's more than close. If you stayed through the whole video, thank you for staying, and I hope you enjoyed this thinking things through. If you guys like this, I pray that you like this, the like button, that you subscribe, that you definitely comment and leave interactions, because it actually really motivates me to keep going. I need the interactions to motivate with people. I love people. I love to talk. I love to chat. I love a little yap. So if you like this video, like the video, comment down below, share it with somebody who you think would like it, and stay tuned for the next one.